Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about two cities in our region, and they both face huge crime problems and not enough money, obviously, to just throw at them without consideration. Camden to the south of New York City and Newburgh to the north, and now we focus on the city of Camden, and as Kim laid out here, some real changes are afoot, and it's not without real debate. Why did you guys decide to do the approach that you did in Camden to try and really solve a problem that has been persistent for quite a while?
Obviously, they need a lot more police officers patrolling the streets of Camden. The problem is they can't afford to hire those new officers at the existing cost. So the options were do nothing, or more of the same, or actually consider a different approach.
This next statement comes from the president of the Camden Fraternal Order of Police, John Williamson, who said, "We're concerned, definitely concerned. You're going to create a police department and staff it with people who are unfamiliar with the city and say, go ahead and fight crime. That's a recipe for disaster." He and others say you're not putting enough value on experience, and you're going to take guys who don't know Camden and put them in there, and they're going to drown.
The fact of the matter is that we do value experience, and part of the plan is to retain as much of that experience as possible. But we also know that experience is only as good as it actually is implemented. And right now in Camden City Police Department, you have a situation where you have a very high absenteeism rate. Nearly 30% of the force, for one reason or another, doesn't get to show up for work. And so that experience isn't being leveraged. And I don't think that the loss of experience, as they claim, will cause the kinds of problems they're projecting.
Richard, can I add to that? Because what Joe is saying is absolutely correct. A professional police officer, no different than a doctor or a lawyer, does not have to be from that community to be able to perform well. It's absolutely absurd to think that someone who is a professional police officer cannot take their skills and come to a city like Camden or New York or Los Angeles and be an absolutely perfect police officer in that town.
But isn't there something to be said, though, for developing relationships and having resources on the ground that are developed through time?
Those things are fostered in a very, very short period of time. It does not take 15, 18 years to get to learn a community. It's absurd to think that I couldn't move to Los Angeles and be placed in a radio car in the Watts section and within a few short months know who belongs here, who doesn't, where the gangs operate, what types of gangs are working here. All of those things take a very short amount of time. And the institutional knowledge, by the way, will be fostered back and forth as I talk to other people in the agency and I talk to people who have been around for a while. That stuff filters in very, very quickly. It's too short-sighted to think so.
I have to say, though, to your last point about the institutional knowledge moving back and forth, and to play devil's advocate to parts of your plan, Jose, the timeline with this and the number of officers you're looking to hire is very uncertain. You're looking to do this within a short period of time and hire a very large number of officers, and you're saying that you're hoping to take on existing officers, but what about the hard feelings from the officers who are now working for less money and less benefits?
Well, actually,
how many existing officers do you plan to take on? Because the numbers are sort of dependent upon who you ask.
Well, they actually depend upon the outcome of labor negotiations with the county. You know, we have been hopeful from the very beginning that we will be able to bring as many officers, existing officers, into the Camden Metro Division. And we hope that we can still do that.
How much of a consideration is it that these guys are going to go to greener pastures because the benefits are better, and obviously with how you got from there to here, you're going to have a challenge?
We're actually offering slightly more than the current base pay of a Camden City police officer. So with all that said, we have had several thousand inquiries now to apply for this department. These salaries are competitive for the rest of the state, not just Camden City. We are going to get, and we plan on probably receiving several thousand more applicants to be a part of this new department, regardless of Camden being the most dangerous city and the poorest city in the country. These people that take an oath to serve and protect, find this pay scale to be adequate.
Have there been phone calls from other cities to see how this plays out in Camden? Because this is going to play out not just in other cities in New Jersey, but other places elsewhere, to say we cannot afford these defined benefit packages anymore. It's just unsustainable long term given the reducing revenues the cities or the towns or whatever municipalities have.
We've been contacted by places all over the country. The National Association of Chiefs has taken a significant stand and said public safety has to be delivered in a different way. It can no longer, during these economic times, be delivered in a fashion from 10 years ago. In fact, in Camden County right now, we have 500 and some thousand residents. There are 300 less police officers on the streets than there were just 3 years ago in Camden County. So we're looking at a regional approach, and I think that approach at the highest levels of law enforcement, the Department of Justice on down, has really said this is the ideal way to do it.
Dan, Jose, John, guys, thank you all very much. We're going to take a quick commercial break, everyone. We'll be right back.